Hello and welcome to a special episode of Keep Right On. I'm Brian Dick and I'm joined today not by Alex Dickin, but by a name that may be familiar to Blues fans, even if the face isn't. Welcome to our little corner of the Birmingham City constellation, Robin Shroot.
Thanks, Brian. It's a pleasure.
Brilliant. A quick introduction. Robin was at Blues for a couple of years, from 2009 to 2011, more of which later. That was a period sandwiched between an upbringing in non-league with the likes of Staines Town and Harrow Borough, a decent League One career with Stevenage, then a very good career in Norway, including 3 spells with Hod. All of which is not to forget his time at Nashville in the MLS during their inaugural season. And since hanging up his boots, Robin has been ploughing a furrow in coaching fields and is now manager of Rosenborg Women, who I think yesterday put Atletico Madrid out of the Champions League qualifiers and now face Arsenal Women on Saturday. Robin, is that about right?
Got that spot on, Brian. Absolutely. Superb Brilliant. Research.
Okay, well, listen, thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, obviously we'll start with the current. So I'm right in saying, Robin, that you've just beaten Atletico Madrid on penalties, and you now face Arsenal Women. Is that right? With the winner to go through into the next stage, which is really where the cream of the crop are. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it, Brian. Like we are in the final of the mini tournament that had us, Arsenal, Rangers, and Atletico Madrid. So there's 2 semi-finals, one of which we won, one of which Arsenal won, and we play Arsenal in the final on Saturday. And the winners of that will go into the final qualifying playoff for the Champions League proper.
How is it you find yourself, Robin, in not too long an answer, because I know time's precious. How is it you find yourself as head coach or manager of Rosenborg Women? I know we referred to your playing career in Norway.
Quickly, Brian. Yeah, I made a decision to finish playing 4 years ago when I was 32. I had years left, to be honest. I was never been fitter, but I'd fallen out of love with playing, and I had invested so much time over the previous years coaching, and I was caught in a crossroads of signing another player contract or applying for full-time coaching jobs. And one day before I was due to get on the plane to go back and continue my playing career, I got an opportunity to become kind of head of player development at Rosenborg Women in Norway, and it was a no-brainer. And transitioned into a full-time career in coaching. Had that role first, and then became assistant manager to the previous head coach for the last 2 years. And then when he decided to leave, strange one, because I didn't want to be head coach, and the club asked me quite early in the process, and I said no, I absolutely do not want it. It's not for me. And then as time went on and they seemed unable to find a solution, I just said, look, we've come this far. I think it was 4 months in. I was like, I'll crack on and give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? And that was it. We landed here.
And it's been good so far, judging by results and from your demeanour.
The biggest joy for me, like when I was a player, is just to be outside in the fresh air every day, trying to do everything I can to help these people that I have the fortune of working with love football and get better. Like, it was always only about the love of football I had, and that is like to be given an opportunity to help the people that I have to do that, and to use every minute of my energy to try and make that possible is my ambition. So it's, of course, like you have to remain or kind of remove emotion as best as possible, even though it's hard, and think about your long-term values and identity, especially what the club wants to do. Like, the club have been extremely clear about the strategy that they want to use to build on everything that's in place for the future. So I have a responsibility to lead with the values that the club want, and so it's kind of, we are in perfect alignment, I think, about how to make that happen. regardless of win, lose or draw.
You made reference to your playing career there, Robin, and obviously listeners to our podcast will know you from your time at Birmingham City. Can I take you back? What are we getting on for? 15, 16 years now. You were playing for Harrow Borough in the Ryman League, and then you were offered a trial at Blues during the Alex McLeish time. Is that how it panned out?
I was in non-league from 16 to 20 and just wanted to fall in love with playing again, and thought I'm just going to crack on and have a go. And my last season at Harrow Borough, I think I scored quite a few goals, and I got called up to play for Northern Ireland at under 21 level, which was also quite rare because I was outside the professional game. And I was invited to go to Blues for a week before Christmas went up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this place, like I could spend my whole career here. Like, it was amazing to get a sense of the size of the club, and especially like being from London, like to move outside of London and see how big a club and how historical a club Blues are and were. I was like, I just hope with all my heart I could get the opportunity to be part of this club.
And you had the trial. Do you remember much about the trial?
Oh, it was amazing. Like, because I'll be honest, like, I'd come from non-league, and I logged onto the website like the night before I came up to have a look at the squad, and I was like, I'm gonna see all these lads tomorrow. And I've walked in, and on the Monday, my agents just walked through the building at the time, like looking, and then I was stood by the players' entrance, like, what am I doing here? Like, and then in walks Lee Carsley, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going like, I've seen you on the TV for like the last 15 years, and like after him, Kevin Phillips walks in, and I'm stood there like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? And then like, yeah, we've gone into change. It was a bit later that day because there had been the players' Christmas party the night before, and we walked out onto the field to train, I think about 3:00, and Stuart Parnaby was behind me, I remember thinking, and he was having a joke with someone about how small my calves were in the training bottoms. And I was on the same team as Kevin Phillips. And Kev said to me on that first day, as we were about to play 7v7 or whatever, he went, I hope you can run today because I had a hard night yesterday. Right, okay, I'll happily run for you, Kev. And it was like all my dreams had come true in that training session, like the level, the quality of player. And I was like, I did well, scored a couple of goals. And then we played a game against Cheltenham, friendly against Cheltenham the next day. And I scored and played well. And then, finished the week. And Alex was at the end of the week, was like, yeah, we want to sign you. And I was just like, I'll sleep in your office, big man, if we can get that deal done. And that was pretty much how it was. Went home for Christmas and then moved up on 1st of Jan.
Yeah, and you signed a 2.5-year deal. Alex McLeish called it then a calculated gamble. I think he was investing in the player you could become. You joined, I think, on the same day as Keith Fahey as well, and you obviously, as you said there, thrust into pretty much a star-studded squad. Lee Bowyer, Seb Larson, Scott Sinclair, Damien Johnson, I think, was still there. So there was a lot of competition for places. Was it a calculated gamble for you? Was it a risk for you, did you feel, as well, Robin?
Looking back, Keith, like I would never, I don't have any regrets ever. Like I am so sad I wasn't able to play more games for such an amazing football club. And I had an opportunity to join clubs in League Two, in League One, and my former teammate at Harrow Borough, Albert Adoma, he took a very different route to me. He signed for Barnet in League Two from Harrow Borough and played 150 games and then kind of went up through the Football League. But for me, like training with that group of players and seeing how good the club was, and when they wanted to sign me, I was like, there's absolutely no way I can't. Like, the feeling inside me was so strong that I wanted to play for Birmingham City. And it gave me a lifetime of memories. Like, even though I didn't play as much as I wanted to. And I understand it's sad because had I had another manager who may have seen the value of giving me a chance amongst that period, my career may have been differently. But I understand Alex was under pressure to get promoted to the Premier League. Like he said to me after I played against Wolves, he was like, you're going to be out of the squad now. Because, and I wasn't smart enough or experienced enough to understand it at the time. But understanding that he probably had his head on the block, it's far higher likely given the way that with his experience in management, he believed in a more experienced approach, and I respect that.
Yeah, you were only 20 years old. You did get that game, that one game against Wolves in the FA Cup at St Andrews in front of 22,000 people. Now, there's a bit of feeling between the Blues and the Wolves fans, and you'll have no doubt been aware of it on that day. What was the build-up and the experience like facing a quite a febrile local derby, I would imagine?
It takes me back, mate. And I tell you something, honestly, I know the exact day. It was 13th of January 2009. Like, I remember everything about it. I remember we went into the pre-match meal in the main stand there, and I just remember like having my eggs on toast, my 2 poached egg on toast, and Gaffer stood there by the flip chart, like pulls it over, and my name's on there in front of Frank Quadru, and I'm like, I think that's the starting 11. I was like, I'm in here. And like it gets nearer to kickoff, and you go downstairs, and it's dark, and all the lights are on around the stadium, and I'm like, you can smell the grass. And coming out for the warm up, like you can hear the Wolves fans singing, but you can see the Blues fans like in the tilt, and then like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, let's go for this. And then Stuart Parnaby said to me in the tunnel before the game, just go out and play like you would with your mates in the park on a Sunday morning. And I remember we kicked off. Frank Quadru zipped the ball out to me, took a touch, and just started doing step overs against Dave Edwards, and we got a corner. And I watch it back on video because as I ran down the line, you can see more and more people stand up as I get closer to the box. And it was like every time I got the ball, you could hear people's like support, like, go on, get at him. And you're like, oh my days, I want to do this every week for the rest of my life.
It was sort of it was for the cup game, and then Alex seemed to return to the job of getting the team back into the Premier League, which he did at the end of that season. You went on loans to Walsall, Burton and Cheltenham during your time at Blues. Did the door ever come close to opening again for you during that 2-year spell?
Do you know what? I don't think so. But the harsh reality of football is like, I think in my 2 seasons at Blues, we played, 20 reserve games, and I think I must have scored like 25 goals in those games. I remember the first team were playing West Ham away on the Saturday. We played against Crewe in the reserves on the Tuesday. I scored a hat-trick, and I thought, like, if it's going to happen, at least getting a sniff of being in the squad, it will be now. But they took Jake Jervis, like, because purely and simply he had different qualities to me that I think at that time Alex felt like he would be a better impact. And in many ways, he was proven right in that, because he also brought JJ on, I think, in a cup game away at Everton. So it was like I can look in the mirror and say there was absolutely nothing more I could do. And that's why I can be exceptionally proud of being part of the club for the time that I was.
Yeah, indeed. She went off to Stevenage, and then you scored a good few goals for Stevenage in League One, and then life took you to Norway. And I guess that's been an incredible experience living and playing in Norway, has it?
It was quite hard for me, Brian, because when you're part of a Premier League club and around Premier League players every day, like my strengths in football were my football intelligence. And although I wasn't the strongest or the quickest, I was very good technically. So it was easier for me to look good with better players. And I know like many will say that, but I think I was able to go from playing in the Ryman League to performing against Wolves, who at the time were the other best team in the league. Like, I think everyone saw that I would have had the potential to do well. And it's kind of the lower you go down, the harder it can actually become for a player like me. And I really found that. So I'm actually extremely proud of the fact that I stuck at it for so long after being part of a Premier League club, because I think I played, I don't know, 350 senior games of football, scored 160 goals in England and Norway, and played international football, and it experienced life in a different part of the world and grew as a person. So without the experience I had at Birmingham City, I would never have had the career that I did.
And I know, Robin, you've got preparations to make for Saturday. I think all Blue Noses like myself will wish you the very best of luck this weekend, and thank you very much for your time and appearing on the Keep Right On podcast. Keep right on.
When I was a player and I wasn't in the squad, I used to go and watch Blues home and away, obviously because my mates were playing. But number two, and probably more importantly, the fans were the best I've ever seen, and I've been to a lot of football in the UK. But to be part of the Blue Nose contingent, I will forever hold in my heart. So I'm really grateful. And if you ever want to get me back on, I'll be there ASAP.
Brilliant. Good luck this weekend, Robin.
Thanks, Brian.